I am Jennifer Priest, and today I'm going to be talking with you about rumors, shocking news, things that we hear about Pinterest. I heard two things today, and I was like, whoa, that's some crazy stuff, right? That's your first reaction when you hear something shocking. You see a rumor, you're like, that can't be true. And then the second thing that happens, I don't know if this is you guys, but this is me, and I know this is a lot of people that I know that are entrepreneurs. The second thing that happens is like, oh, what does this mean for my business? And when it's related to Pinterest, it's like, oh my gosh, is it over? Do I need to jump ship? Do I need to go do something else? And it's kind of like this reactive, like we get this fight or flight, like I've got to leave, right? We get that feeling. So I want to talk about what the things are that I heard, what the news sources are about those things, where you can find the information, and then what does it mean in your business? And I think we're going to see a lot of changes happening with Pinterest over the next couple of years. And I think this is going to be really important for us to be able to put it in perspective and ask the most important question of all when it comes to things that we're hearing about Pinterest or any tools or things related to Pinterest. So my name is Jennifer Priest, and I am your host today. I run the business Smart Creative Social, and I created a Pinterest training program to teach you how to create a Pinterest traffic strategy at Smart Pin Pro. That's what it's called. And so I want to ask you, though, if you are on Facebook and you want to leave a comment, if you could please register, give your information over on Facebook. You just go to this link, smartpin.pro/name. Just give the tool that I'm using, which is called Restream, to give that permission to show your name on Facebook if you leave a comment or anything like that. And I'm just going to put our little roadmap URL here. For any of you guys who are watching and you want to grab our roadmap, that is it right there. Okay, so I pulled up the chat so I can see any questions that you guys have, and I want to talk about a couple things that are going on. But before I talk about that, I want to talk about what happens with rumors and news. Like, I kind of put them all together. I actually don't watch the news on TV because it like triggers things, right? Not like I'm traumatized, but one of the things that I found is that it's very much a distraction. And there is a balance between needing to know what's going on in the world of our business, in the world of Pinterest, right? The things that are going to relate to our business, and it crossing over into something that becomes a distraction, right? So there's like, where is that tipping point for us? And the reason that I say a lot of things that happen with Pinterest, like people will say, oh, well, Pinterest is doing this, or deleting accounts, or, oh, this app closed, or, oh, this app laid people off, or, oh, this is going on. And they get so stirred up. The place where that turns in, how do I say this? There's a place where that information is useful, right? Where does it affect my specific business, right? What am I doing? Where does it affect what I'm doing? But then there's a place where it crosses over into distraction, where it causes fear. It causes worry. It causes you to not be working on your stuff, right? Not be working in your business. And a lot of you are like, yeah, you know, I'm pretty focused on my business. I'm not going to let stuff distract me. But what I see in a lot of the Facebook groups is a lot of distraction going on. And so I want to be able to share this news with you, but not have it be something where it becomes a distraction. So I'm going to share it in the context of how can we use this information when we hear these things? How can we use it in a way that's helpful for our business? And there's two things that happen that are related to Pinterest that I think are important for you to know. So the big important question to ask at the end of it is, what does this mean for me and my business? And I'm going to talk about what does it look like when we're asking that question? Okay, so two things happened that I want to share with you. One is that the Jump Rope app is closing. They did an announcement on LinkedIn, which is kind of funny because what they're doing is the Jump Rope app. And for those of you who don't know, Jump Rope was almost like a social media platform where you could create videos and you could share, and it was made for creators. I actually had a phone call with them a couple of weeks ago and was going to have them come do a training. Yeah, we're not going to do that because a lot of pinners, a lot of marketers were using Jump Rope to create short form video content really quickly, really easily. And one of the things that it did very beautifully is that you could take that content and then chop it up in different sizes. So you could make a video for like a video pin, a long video pin, but also make a square so you could share it on your Instagram, you can share it on your TikTok, you can share it on your Instagram stories. Like it allowed you to create all these different sizes, and it was really fun and easy to use. And it's funny because they did something with TikTok, I want to say last month or the month before, and they've kind of been partnering with a lot of social media platforms. And today they came out with an announcement, and I'm going to go grab the link for you guys. They came out with an announcement over on LinkedIn. I could have swore I dropped it down in the comments. Oh no, I put it here. So they put an announcement on LinkedIn that they are closing the app in less than 30 days, and they are going to be, their whole team's going to go work at LinkedIn now, which is kind of interesting. Let me see if it'll let me drop it here. It's not going to let me post on some of the social media channels, so I'm going to just post it here. If you guys want it, let me know. Actually, yeah, I'm just going to post it here for you guys to see. And let's see what it looks like. It's a long link. It's a long link. So if you guys are looking at this on Facebook, I'll drop the link down in the description. And if you're on any of the platforms and you're like, I can't see the link, drop me a comment and I will drop the link there for you. So they're closing. And so what does this mean for you, right? If you are a video creator and you're using Jump Rope, well, I'm going to get into that in a little bit. Because, you know, it made making videos a lot faster and a lot easier, right? And you could pump out a bunch of videos and put them all over Pinterest or wherever you wanted to put them. One of the challenges with that, if you're doing a high volume of video, is that it becomes less quality and it can start to look spammy. So I think it's kind of interesting. Like, they were doing stuff for creators. They're kind of creating this new platform. It was kind of competition for Pinterest, but you could download the videos and put them on Pinterest. And so I don't know, like when I talked to them, I had some questions where I was like, oh, it just felt like it was a lot of work. It just felt like a lot of work to me. Not to use their tool, but to build something like that, right? When we already have Pinterest. And so I wasn't super clear on like what was going to be the new thing. So it's kind of interesting to see this happening. That said, this tool is going away. So what are you going to use instead to make videos? Well, there's a lot of things. Okay. And we actually have a thread going inside of our membership area of all kinds of awesome tools. One of the ones I love is called V.io. Another one that someone shared was called KineMaster. I'm like, I used to use KineMaster like way back in the day. It's an app on your phone to make videos. Lots of different tools that you could be using for that. So there's another thing. So Pinterest isn't over. Jump Rope is over. Okay. But Pinterest isn't over. Pinterest video isn't over because Jump Rope went away. I think it's kind of interesting to see this happening. And I call this like a signal, right? This is a signal of something happening. Another thing that happened that I got wind of, and then I went on LinkedIn just to check it out to see what was going on, is there's been some staff changes over at Tailwind. And if you don't know what Tailwind is, it is an app, an online app that allows you to schedule social media posts to Pinterest and Instagram. And it has a tool called Create where you can use that to make your graphics within the tool. So like I make a lot of my pins in Canva, or maybe you might use Photoshop or PicMonkey. Sorry, we have a new kitten. It's making a lot of noise. And Tailwind built into their platform. I don't know why it's it's outside. Tailwind built into their platform I think it wants to go outside. Hold on. I'm so sorry, you guys. I think it wants to go out. All right. There we go. So Tailwind built into the platform a graphics creation tool called Create. Okay. And they had some other tools where you could like loop pins called Smart Loop. I use that. And lots of different things. So when a company does a lot of staffing changes like that, moving people out of the company or those kinds of things, you guys have to go to LinkedIn. I haven't seen an official announcement anywhere, but you have to go to LinkedIn and look at that. It's easy to think like, oh my God, the app's closing. Oh my gosh, Pinterest is over, right? Those things aren't true, right? We haven't seen anything official, right? So before we jump to those conclusions, like I don't like to jump to those conclusions. What does it mean? What does any of this mean to any of us, right? So there are lessons to take from these things, right? Apps closing, changing staff, lots of changes happening at platforms like Pinterest. What can we do with that? So one is, there's some takeaways. One is build connection on your own site. It's so funny because way back in 2003, I started with email marketing. And I remember when in 2007, 2008, when Facebook really started taking off, everybody was like, oh, you don't need email. That's stupid. That's old. That's antiquated. It's going to go away. I remember marketers making fun of me and other businesses making fun of me because I was like diehard email marketer, like, because that's where I started. That's where I got like, I just knew how to email market. That's where I started doing things. I didn't start doing content marketing till 4 years after I started doing email marketing. But I stuck with my email marketing and I built my list and I kept it small. I kept it tight. I kept it like really engaged. I called my non-openers and I made sure I provided value, and I did that for years. Then when things started changing on Facebook, the algorithm, people started going, oh, you gotta have an email list. Don't build your house on rented land. And I was like, really, you guys? Like, some of us have always had our email list. And I'm sharing that to say that, like, it's never been a trendy thing to build connection on your own site until like people started making it a trendy thing. It's always been a cornerstone of how you do business. Like, it would be tantamount to somebody comes into your physical store and you're like, hey, you know what? I know you're here at Walmart, but have you seen our Target display over there? Like, make sure you go check out Target. It's like, what? That seems crazy, right? You come into the store, they want to make a connection with you for their store, right? The same with online. You want to figure out how to make a connection with people. So you're using Pinterest or Facebook or whatever it is. In this case, I'm talking about Pinterest. We're using that to get attention on our business and have them come over to our business. We've never were using it to say, oh, I want to use Pinterest to promote Pinterest. Now, there are some things we do where we're like, well, Pinterest, I'll kind of scratch your back a little, like with idea pins, and then you'll, give me some distribution on my other pins. Like, we do some things like that to work with the platform and function within that environment. But the goal is always to get people over onto our site, and then on our site, establish connection with them. So notice that nowhere in that did I talk about Tailwind or Jump Rope. Because the thing is, we're using the platform to get traffic or visibility or both. But there's a difference between the tools we use to do that and the social media platform or whatever the platform is that we're using to get the traffic from or the visibility from, right? There are tools that we use to execute on that. And those tools are tools like Jump Rope and tools like Tailwind, okay? The thing that I think was challenging with Jump Rope is that I feel like they did want to become a content consumption platform, right? A place where people went to get ideas, a place where people went to get get inspiration. But we already have that, right? We have YouTube and Pinterest. And the problem that I saw with it was that people were using it to make content for YouTube and Pinterest. They're using it as a content creation tool. And that's the way I had always heard about it spoken of from anyone that I knew using it. It was they were using it to create content and not as social media. And so then, it's, and I don't think it was monetized with ads, or maybe, I don't know. I wasn't quite sure how it was monetized yet. I had like a lot of questions. I even have my notes from it over here. But that's a moot point because it's closing August 20th. But the thing is that people were using it as a tool and not as social media. If we look at the role of tools like Jump Rope or Tailwind, and I don't think Jump Rope's intention was ever to be a tool, but we used it like that. Tools only exist to help us execute our strategy. So tools are going to come and go. We're going to use different tools to do different things. We're going to use different tools to have a different experience, a different workflow within our business. So like I was talking about this inside our paid group earlier today. Imagine that there's a brick wall and you need to get from here to the other side of the brick wall. There are a lot of things that you can use. You can use a step stool to kind of climb up and then hoist yourself over. You can use a ladder. There's special kind of different ladders that kind of fold up and you can like use that to go all the way over. You could get one of those mechanical lift things and it lifts you up and puts you over. You can use a rope. There's a lot of different tools. At the end of the day, all you want to do is get from here to the other side of the wall, right? You can use a wrecking ball. Like that probably isn't the best one because the wall's like not intact, right? But there's a lot of different tools that you can use to do that. The same with Pinterest. There are a lot of different tools that we can use to create content for Pinterest, whether that's Tailwind or Jump Rope or some other whatever. And there's a lot of tools we can use to schedule our content to Pinterest. We can use Pinterest itself. We can use Tailwind. We can use Buffer. We can use any Pinterest partners. They have a site on Pinterest. They have a whole page of Pinterest partners. I'm going to pull it up for you because I think it's important. Like you should have this bookmarked. I don't have it bookmarked, but you should have it bookmarked so that anytime you're like, oh, I don't know if I should use this tool for Pinterest. If it's a tool that touches Pinterest, right? It communicates with its API. It does things to Pinterest on your behalf. Then you want to make sure that it is a Pinterest partner. I'm going to go ahead and drop this here in the chat, but I'm also going to make a caption here so that you guys can see this is the link to the Pinterest Marketing Partners page. So any company that you want to do things with, you want to make sure that they're doing things on Pinterest on your behalf. You want to make sure they're a Pinterest marketing partner, like Shopify, right? You're like, what shopping cart should I use if I want to make my pins shoppable and make things a little easier? Well, Shopify is a Pinterest marketing partner. They show up right there on the page. In fact, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like right now. So here you can see they've got this cute little graphic, and we've got Adobe Spark up there. That's a content creation tool. Shopify is for shopping, and then these other things, I don't even know what they do. There's a whole bunch of different partners, and you can pick, what are you trying to do? You can pick different, Canva, Adobe Spark, different tools to do different things, okay? So make sure that if whatever tool you're using, that if they touch Pinterest, that they are on this page. Now, can you make stuff in Adobe Spark without it touching Pinterest, or Canva without it touching Pinterest? Yeah, like you can make it, you download it, and then you upload it to Pinterest. But anything where it like gets into your analytics, it connects to your Pinterest account, you'll want to make sure that that's a partner. So let's go back to talking about tools, right? The tool, there's no magic in the tool, right? I love Tailwind. I've loved Tailwind for years. I've been a Tailwind partner for a long time. I don't think Tailwind is over, right? Companies lay people off and close stores, and they do those things all the time, and then they're still there, right? Like sometimes companies restructure. Who knows? I don't know what all the secret stuff is on the inner workings of companies. So I wouldn't take it like if a company is doing moves of staff or closing stores or changing things, that I don't know that necessarily means that they're gone, right? I wouldn't say like, oh, you got to leave that tool now. What I think is really important is to remember that tools help us execute our strategy. They are not important, and they are not the secret sauce. It's important that we choose the best tool for the job. So we need to make sure that they're a Pinterest partner if we're choosing that tool, right? If it's touching Pinterest, we want to make sure we're not using some tool that, like, in the past, people have used tools that operate outside of the Pinterest API that do things that are not okay with Pinterest. And in those instances, they have had negative effects on their business because they're using those tools, right? Pinterest can delete your account, for example, or diminish the reach of all your pins, or delete all your pins. Like there's things they can do, or if you're dependent on that tool doing everything for you, and then all of a sudden Pinterest shuts off that tool's access. This happened with a tool called Board Booster a couple of years ago. Then you're like, whoa, nothing's getting pinned. You don't know how, you got to have a new workflow, all that overnight. So don't use something that's not approved if it's going to touch the platform. That said, there's no secret sauce between like, do I choose Buffer or Tailwind or whatever other scheduling tools? There's no secret sauce. Okay. So, what does it mean now? Like so I'll just pick the tool that's going to help me best execute my strategy, right? What's the tool that's going to help me do the things that I want to do? So, this tool has these bells and whistles. This tool has these bells and whistles. This tool has these bells and whistles. I need the tool to execute X, Y, Z. You're just going to pick the tool that's going to best do that. It doesn't matter all this other stuff, right? Other than that it has to be a Pinterest partner. And that's just for a safety thing, right? So then what does it mean when we see these kind of changes happening? We see companies closing or apps closing, right? Like Jump Rope did. We see staffing changes. We see things happening different at these companies. What I call this in my program is a signal. These are all signals, right? All of this news about Pinterest is signals. What Pinterest puts out on their engineering blog are signals. Pinterest earnings report that came out a couple weeks ago is a signal. And so what do we do with those, right? Well, we pay attention to them. And so they kind of alert us to things. So for example, I read Pinterest business newsletter. And I knew something was up last week when Pinterest sent an email announcing a buffer-free trial. And I was like, that's interesting because Pinterest has a lot of different partners that they work with that allow scheduling. But it's interesting that they chose Buffer because, and why is this interesting? I'm looking at my experience, me. I tried to use Buffer to schedule on Pinterest and it was an awful experience. And so I'm like, I wonder if Buffer made any changes to that. And I'm like, does this affect me, right? The end of the day, the big question is, what does this mean for me? What decisions do I need to make? Okay. So I pay attention to those signals. At that point in time, I was like, are there any decisions I really need to make? No. Now, today with this new information I have, I'm like, maybe I want to check out Buffer. Like I still use Tailwind, is still doing everything. Maybe I want to go like reassess kind of what do I have Tailwind doing? Are there features that I've paid for that I'm not using, right? Is there something that's broken going on over there, right? So it's kind of a signal for me to reassess, like, what is it I'm doing with this tool? Is there an opportunity to use some other tool, especially looking at the fact that Pinterest sent that out in an email? What else do I need to know from this, right? So I'm asking those questions. I'm thinking, I'm analyzing, I'm pondering. Notice I'm not pondering, what does this mean for everybody else's business other than how it relates inside of my program where I'm teaching people how to use Pinterest for traffic. But I'm not going like, oh, I wonder what this means for, food bloggers, right? If I'm not a food blogger, like, I don't really care, right? That doesn't matter to me. Like for my business, the decisions my business is going to make, right? So that's the big question. What does this mean for me? What decisions do I need to make? I think we so often, it's so easy to get kind of caught up in this. I do it too. Get caught up in this stuff in the Facebook groups and in the peer groups and in the masterminds. Like I'm in a mastermind, we talk about stuff. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in that stuff, but we have to ask, what does it mean for me? And I want to acknowledge feelings, right? Like sometimes we got to feel the feels. So, like when I got this news, I was like, oh man, I'm bummed. Like people I know, right? This is like, that's sad. I just talked to this person and I thought this would be a super rad thing with jump rope. And I was like, wait, now that's over. Like that's like, you can kind of have some feelings, but at the end of the day, we have to make decisions, right? And there can be a decision. If you say, what does this mean for me and my business? It can mean a big fat nothing. Okay. Big fat nothing. Awesome. You can move on. We don't need to spend any more time on that. Right. So like I wasn't using jump rope. What does it mean for my business? Well, we had a training scheduled. I canceled that. Like it doesn't mean a whole lot. Right. For other people where they were using jump rope to make all their videos, it means a lot. So then they have some decisions to make. So, and I think too, like asking, what does it mean for me and my business makes it easy to move on because like it is easy to get sucked into things in the Facebook groups. And a lot of times people will make something like this mean something bigger, like, oh, Pinterest is suffering. Oh, Pinterest is going away. It doesn't mean any of that. Pinterest is still here. Pinterest is still doing their things, right? All it is that we may decide we want to change. In one case with jump rope, we have to change the tool that we're using. And in Tailwind, we're going to have to look and see what are they going to do, right? Like, is anything affected? Are new things happening? Are they growing in some other area? Are they going to be like, they've been doing a lot of different Facebook Lives. They were talking about audio. Maybe there's something with that. I don't know, right? So we have to think about like, there may be some observation that needs to happen there to look at some more signals coming through. So at a minimum, get some perspective about it, analyze the signal. Does this even relate to me? What does this mean for me and my business? And then we can move on and do the important things we need to do, which is using Pinterest to get traffic, right? That's what we're here to do. If you're watching this, you are here because you know that I talk about Pinterest. You want to learn things about Pinterest. And so you're like, okay, what do I need to know? Like, what is the next step for me? Because like I've decided the jump rope is not relevant. The Tailwind thing, I'm like, whatever, I'm using that tool or whatever, right? You figure that out. Now what next? Well, the next thing is I have something super awesome that I want to share with you guys. I spent this whole like last week doing this 5-part series talking all about should you quit Pinterest, which I think is such an interesting topic, and telling you what to do if you're going to quit Pinterest. Well, this thing that I'm going to share with you today, it starts on August 16th. And I'll run it again, but it starts August 16th and It is a 5-day challenge. Now there's a free version and then there's a paid version. And I'm rolling it out to you guys like super duper early. So you're the first people to see this, the first people to hear about it. In this challenge, it is 5 parts. We're going to help you with, and this is whether you decide to quit Pinterest or not. So this is super awesome because if you're like, I'm ready to quit, but I want to kind of set things up so that like, if I quit, it's still kind of simmering and working for me. Like this is what I went over in that 5-day video series last week. If you want to set it up so that it can succeed with you exited, this is exactly the challenge for you. And if you're like, I want to do Pinterest, I know I need to dust some things off and I want to start working on it again, or I've been working on it, I'm getting some results or maybe not results, and I need a clear direction of what to do, and I need something tangible to hold in my hands at the end of this challenge where I've done something, right? We're going to do something on the challenge so that you have something to go forward with. It's not a challenge where it's like, do all these things and then like, yay, wait 4 years. Like we're going to have something tangible that you've done. Any of those, anyone who's on Pinterest, this is for you. Now, if you're in my paid program, you probably don't need this because we're already doing all of this and like 10 times, 100 times more inside the program. But if you want to come along with us for the ride, totally come along with us. I will have something for you inside of our program that I'll tell you about. But we're going to do a 5-day challenge. So you're going to, 1, set up your account for success. This is like your profile, all that kind of good stuff. Number 2, define your goals and your path. This is a crucial step that people like forget. They're like, I just want more traffic. And I'm like, well, or they're like, I want to make more. I'm like, why do you want more traffic? And they're like, because I want to make more money. And I'm like, here's $1. You just made more money. Like we got to get clear on the goals. And that's going to help us figure out how we're going to get there. Day 3, we're going to optimize for maximum performance. I'm going to teach you my optimization techniques. And then day 4, and these are the optimization techniques, you guys, that get me like really good RPM and like where I don't have to work super hard. I don't want to work super hard. So I'm going to teach you guys those same things. Day 4, we're going to publish and track results. Yes, we are pinning. And no, you don't have to use Tailwind or Buffer or any of that stuff. We are going to pin. But I will talk about those things, but we are going to pin on day 4. And then day 5, I'm going to talk about how to scale your strategy. So you're going to walk away with like the bones of a foundation strategy. This is like what we teach in the whole first phase 1 and phase 2 of my program. You're going to get like the skeleton of that. You're not going to get all of everything, but you're going to get something meaty that you can walk away with. And you're going to be able to see where that fits in with all of the building of a really robust, awesome, long-term, serious traffic Pinterest strategy. So I'm going to put the link. I think I put the link up. I got to see. Now I lost my screen. I'm like, oh, I didn't put the link up yet. Okay, let me put it there. So this is for you guys to join the challenge. Just click here. It's free. There is a paid VIP option. And so it's a free challenge, 5 days free, Facebook group. All the stuff is laid out there. You can go there. You can see everything that you get. You can see feedback from other people. You can see FAQs, like anything you want to know. If you have more questions, you can ask me here in the chat. And I'm going to drop the link down here for those of you that are watching on another platform where it'll let me post the link. So you can watch it totally for free. You can participate for free. It's going to be live. It's in a Facebook group. But if you want to be able to ask me questions directly and get feedback, if you want to be on the video training with me and get special Q&A after each call, that's for our VIPs. And I only have 40 spots. And that's just because like we can't go on 6 hours answering, 600 people's questions. So there's only 40 VIP spots. So I have that there. If you guys want to do VIP, that's paid. You get recordings, you get all kinds of like super awesome stuff. And there's already stuff in there that you can go and work on like really quickly here. You'll get an email in the next couple days. That'll show you like we have a vault, there's recordings, there's a workbook, there's like really awesome stuff in there that you get if you decide to do VIP. If you don't do VIP, that's fine. Like I wanted something that everyone can do. We have a Facebook group, we have an email list. If you guys are here watching, like you're wanting more information about Pinterest, I want to give you a taste of something that's going to work and give you a direction to go. because like I have a roadmap and that kind of thing, but sometimes it's nice if you can see things actually done. Sometimes it's nice if you can see it on video. Sometimes it's nice if you can hear someone talk to you and like give you the help. And if you're like, hey, I want to be able to ask you questions, awesome. Then that is where the VIP option comes in, and it's really, really affordable. Like for what you get, it's insane. It was like, I've been working on this for quite some time, and we did the challenge. I did the challenge for a private group earlier this summer, and they loved it. So I was really, really excited about how that turned out and everything. So kind of a weird post for me to be sharing that on, but not so weird because I think it's all about perspective, right? And this is the kind of thing that we're going to be going over in the challenge. This is the kind of thing that we do in the membership. And I hope that you guys will join me for this challenge and bring your questions. You know, we talk about hard things, right? People don't want to talk about this stuff. We talk about hard things like this, and I don't share it with you because I want to scare you. Like, I don't like scare tactics. I don't like fear. If now is the time for you to get more traffic on your business, if now is the time that you're like, I want to build a business that's going to get traffic for the long term, then this is the place to be. This is the stuff to do, right? Yes, you could do SEO. I never say like, oh, Pinterest is better than SEO. Like, you got to do all the things that are right for your business, right? Like, I don't only do Pinterest. I do Pinterest. I do SEO. I do Facebook Lives. I do multiple things. I do email marketing, right? But if you are like, hey, I am ready to like turn on that channel of Pinterest, then this is the way to get started. And if you've neglected it, absolutely you need this. If you're not getting results right now, absolutely you should start here. Yes, if you have experience with Pinterest, there are going to be things that you already know. Like, of course there is, right? You know what a pin is. If I tell you what a pin is, you're going to be like, this lady's telling me stuff I already know. Of course there is. But it's all those nuggets that are in the layers that are where you're going to find the gold, right? Some people, all of it's going to be new. And that's awesome if that's you, because you're going to be starting in the right place instead of going to YouTube and just guessing with all kinds of free tutorials and stuff from people that you don't know what they're doing and if they know what they're doing. But if you're experienced, like, you're going to have nuggets in between there. And one of the big things that I see as a transformation in my program, and that I saw as a result of this challenge that I ran earlier this year, is that, in fact, it was in June. So it was only like a month and a half ago, is thinking about Pinterest in a different way. This is the hardest part. A lot of our thinking about social media is the way that we were, is the way that it was. And we have to do it in a different way now in order to have success, right? If we keep trying to do it in the old way, it's just going to be really, really hard. And it doesn't need to be really hard. Like, it doesn't need to be really hard. So I'm going to teach you how to think about Pinterest differently so that whether or not you ever continue on with me or anyone else in any training program, you're going to have a different outlook and a different perspective on Pinterest that is going to serve you for years. I am like not making this up. Like, this is one of the things that I am most excited about that happens in my program, is people are like, you changed the way I look at Pinterest, and I feel so confident now that I can move forward. Like, that just makes my day when they say that to me. I just love it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. So this is the Pinterest news that I had to share. I hope that I gave you some perspective on some different ways to look at it, and that you have some clear takeaways. Doesn't matter that it was jump rope or tailwind or whatever is happening. Insert in whatever is the thing that you're questioning, and then ask yourself that important question moving forward. What does this mean for me and my business? What decisions do I need to make today? All right. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have an awesome night.